right, welcome back. We are wrapping up the information. So we're going to complete our last portion for today, and so that is the tax layer. So I know you all are probably excited about this part where you're able to do some hands-on. You're going to be able to put one of the scenarios which we're taking from the advanced certification. We're going to start working on it today, and we're going to wrap it up, complete it on tomorrow. So we're going to work on that, and that will complete the training for today. So what I'm going to do is I will be working, going through the tax layer so that you can see how I input it, which is why I have this split screen up. And then after I input it, then I will let you all have some time where you can input it on your side as well. So what we're going to work on is the advanced scenario 8 with Cynthia Simon. You can find that on page 91 in the publication 6744. And so to my right, I also have the IRS. That link is up as well on here. And so when I go and hit search, if you go to the irs.gov, you're able to type in the publication 6744 unless you have a hard copy. And when you click on that one, you should see at the very top the form 6744, that test and retest. And we're going to go all the way. So a lot of times the good thing about some of these computers is you'll see the table of contents. And we're going to go to that advanced scenario 8, the Cynthia Simon. If you click on that, it will then take you to the scenario. But I actually have that already open. I already have a lot of that information in the PowerPoint. So what we also need to do is on here, you're going to go to Google. And when you go to Google, you will then type in Lincoln Learn certification. Typically when you go in Google, I'll just do it again. When you go in Google and you type in the link and learn, it should be one of the first things that'll pop up on here, the link and learn home. You're going to click on that. And we're actually going to go and we're doing the practice lab. So when you get to that website, you'll see to the left, it has the certification, the test, the instructor tools, but you need to actually go and go over to the right side where it has the quick links, and you're going to see practice lab. And when you pull up the screen, you're going to see where it's going to ask for a password. This is that universal password. It was in the housekeeping items, as well as you should see it on the PowerPoint on the screen right now. It's going to be Train Pro Web, and that is in all capital letters. So we enter that in, and we're going to log in. And so I'm going to show you how to create an account, and then I'll go back and log into my account. So when you go in, you create your account, you're going to input whatever your email address, and input your email address again. You're going to select a username and your password. And your password, it has to be 15 characters long. So I would definitely say you want to make sure that you write down this password so that you can remember it. 15 characters long. The program type, it's VITA. The site identification number, we're going to leave that blank. And then you're going to be able to pick whatever security question you would like and then answer that. So while you guys go and create your account, I'm actually going to go back and I'm going to input my information, but I'm going to leave this PowerPoint slide up for just a couple of minutes. So I'm going to go ahead and type in my username. And you see that it is taking me to the practice lab home. So this is where I'm able to do all of these scenarios. So with the advanced certification, there are 3 returns that you will need to enter into the practice lab. Also, as you're navigating through different places on here, there may be some additional information that you want to try or look at, maybe practicing on some other additional returns, enhancements. So this was definitely, I would say, something that will be utilized by a lot of our returning volunteers, as well as the site coordinators when we get additional information. But what you will be mainly working with is this top banner, this banner at the top that says Practice Lab Home, and we're going to go to the practice area. So I'm going to click on the practice area. It's going to take me to the module that's very similar to TaxSlayer, the actual TaxSlayer, when we actually prepare the actual tax returns. So you're always able to go to your practice lab to practice on returns, just to go in there and to navigate, to look around, and they are making a lot of updates and modifications to make the look and feel better, changing some things around. So also, even throughout the tax season, you may see some functionality of the software change, the look and feel. So when we're actually at our site, this is what we see when we log on. There may be some messages that you'll see in your message center, but you don't really have to worry about that unless you're interested in it. A lot of the reminders and messages that you need to adhere to or that need to be addressed will be coming from your site coordinator, assistant site coordinator. Also on here, we're starting a tax return, kind of what we talked about at the beginning. This is the button that we would go and click start a return. And then after we're working on the return, we would then see, we're not going to finish it today. That return then gets moved to client search. So hopefully you all have had time to go and create your account. So working on the scenario. So we see on here that we are doing, we're preparing the return, and it is for Cynthia Simon. I'm actually going to go back and pull this up on the IRS website just so we can see it again, see it see it better. So try to make it just a little larger to be displayed. So these are the notes about Cynthia Simon when she comes into the tax return. So this is just the information that we need to look over, and we also going to see this. These are interview notes. So it could be the intake specialist that has talked to Cynthia about her tax return. It could also be you, the tax preparer. You looked over the intake and you're going to ask her just some additional questions on here. So with these interview notes, it's saying Cynthia, she's electrician, she's 29 and she's single. She has investment income and has a consolidated broker statement. She began a cleaning business in 2020. She was paid on a 1099 NEC for 2021. She also received additional cash receipts of $400 but not reported on the Form 1099 NEC. She uses the cash method of accounting. And this her business code. She has the following receipts for the following expenses. So it has those broken down for those categories. She has a detailed mileage log reporting for the 2021 year. So it shows her business miles, her personal miles, her commuting miles. She took an early distribution from her IRA in April to pay off educational expenses. She is paying off her student loan from 2018. She is working towards her MBA degree. She took a few college courses this year at a accredited college. She purchased insurance for herself through the marketplace and has a 1095A. If she does receive a refund, she would like it deposited into her checking account. And she received the third EIP payment, known as the stimulus payment, in the amount of $1,400. And you can see it provides us with Cynthia's Social Security card. It doesn't reflect it on here, but of course we will also need Cynthia's ID. So we need the taxpayer's ID and social to prepare a tax return. Now that's just the interview notes. But what is required at everybody's site is the intake interview sheet. This 13614 is required by every taxpayer that comes to any VITA site. So a lot of the information in the interview notes is duplicated on here. It provides us with her personal information. We need to know if Cynthia is able to be claimed as a dependent. Has she ever been a victim of tax return related identity theft? What is her marital status? That helps us determine what her filing status is. So her marital status as of December 31st, 2021. To get her filing status, is there anyone living in the household with Cynthia? That also helps us determine her filing status. And then you can see when we go to that second page on there, we need to look at her income, these expenses, and life events. We're looking at things that have yes, no, and unsure. If she mentioned yes, we want to go back and ask some additional questions, making sure, hey, she said yes on number one. She has wages or salary. And you can see in parentheses, it shows form W-2, and she mentioned that she has one. We just want to go back and confirm that you only just worked one job last year, or that you have more than one W-2. So we do want to go back and clarify and ask some additional questions. Just to be on the safe side. And again, if we see something marked as unsure, we need to ask additional questions to get that unsure in the yes or no category. So we review this intake information before we even start going into TaxSlayer to start entering in return information. Then again, we go on this page right here. Does say that she wants to contribute to the presidential campaign fund. If she gets a refund, she wants it direct deposit. And if she has a balance due, she does not want it to come directly out of her bank account. So there are some individuals that do owe taxes. So don't be afraid to tell them that they have a balance due. The good thing is we learn to explain it to them why they have a balance due. So everybody does not get a refund. And then some people actually know that they owe. So they're not surprised when we tell them. So after the intake form, we're trying to gather all of those documents. So we see that she has a 1099-R. She has a W-2. She has that 1099 NEC with that business income. She has that 1099, that summary statement that it has 1099 dividend income. On there it has 1099 interest income. And we can see there is some summary investment income at the bottom. But we need the detailed page. And so that's on page 2, where we see that she has short-term transactions as well as long-term. There's a short-term transaction and a long-term transaction on there, so we need to make sure that we record that. We also have that 1099E. We haven't talked about this yet. This is related to her student loan payments that she made, and the 1098T because she is going off to college. She's taking some additional courses. She mentioned that she had health insurance through the marketplace. So this is that 1095A that the marketplace sends out to each individuals each year to report on their tax return. And she has provided us with a voided check. So if she gets a refund, she wants that refund deposited to her bank account. So we need to make sure that we have all of this information and review it before we start working on the tax return. So I can't have so many screens open. So if you are wanting to, you can go to the irs.gov, and in the search bar, type in 6744, because I'll be now using this screen to input the information in TaxSlayer. So definitely those of you on the webinar, you're able to pull up some of this information as I'm walking through it. For those of you on Facebook Live, you all can reach out to Dallas Tax Centers on there, and we can actually send this information over to you as well. If you go to Dallas Tax Centers, or you want to send an email to lakeisha.grice@foundcom.org. So Lakeisha, LAKESHA Grice, GRICE @found, FOUNDCOM, foundcom.org. Then if you tell me that you want this PowerPoint presentation, we can get this information over to you. Access to it, and give us maybe about a few days, early next week, middle of next week, you're going to see all of this information on our YouTube page, Dallas Community Tax Centers. So we have went through our interview information. And so now we're ready to input this into TaxSlayer. So I'm going to go start the return. See, I need to enter in my social or my ITIN. On these practice scenarios, you're going to see X's. Anywhere you see an X, you're just going to create any 4 digits that you need to. So I've did this a couple of times, so I now need to find what other 4 digits that I can use. And you see, you don't have to worry about the available taxpayer profiles. Bypass that. So we've entered in the social. I'm going to hit start return, and it's going to confirm that I have entered in the social correctly, that they both match in order for me to move forward. And so also you're going to see to the left of the screen on the PowerPoint, I have everything that I have highlighted. That is what we're going to work on inputting today. So everything that's highlighted like that yellow orange, we're going to input that today. What you see green, we're going to do a partial. So that is part of that is income, and then the other part it's related to, we're going to do the other part on tomorrow when we go into our other lessons. So we did notice on the intake sheet as we were working that it was just Cynthia listed on the tax return, and as of December 31st she said that she was not married. There was no one listed in the household, so that means her filing status is single. And once we enter in the filing status, we just go and hit continue. So we need to now enter in her name information. We do not enter her name based off of the intake sheet. We go to that source document, which is her Social Security card. So I've already input her social, now her date of birth. I typically get this off of the ID. Right now, I am going to pull this off of the intake sheet. Okay, I'm going to open up my other book that I have here, my intake sheet that I have. Because I cannot see. Okay, and so going and putting in her year of birth, her occupation, she is an electrician. And she cannot be claimed as a dependent. We see that on this first page on number 10. She is not a full-time student. She did not state that she was blind. She's not deceased. Now, this one right here, she did state that she wanted to contribute to the presidential campaign, and that is located on page 3, number 2 of the intake sheet. So we want to select that. So these other information right now we're able to bypass. She was not affected by a natural disaster. We're not doing anything about the earned income credit. There was no virtual currency. She doesn't want to receive any other communication, written communication in a language other than English. So we're going to go on down and we're going to put in her address. And where you see in the practice, if you see where it says your city, YS, your zip, that's where you're able to put your information. You're able to create something and put that in the software. So we're going to give her a phone number. So we have that information in, and then also on that intake sheet, there was no one listed in the household, so she does not have any dependents. So we're going to go, no, she doesn't want to claim any, she doesn't have any dependents or qualifying persons to put on her tax return. So we're going to start going through her source documents. What source documents do we need to enter in? I always like to start at the beginning, even though they have the 1099-R first. But we're going to go and we're going to enter in her W-2 information. So we're going to click on W-2 and we're going to enter in begin. This is a standard W-2 on there. So most individuals are bringing the W-2 received. On here, a corrected W-2 would be a W-2C, means the employer has already submitted a W-2 and notice that there was a change needed. It could be maybe a name, social, or income amount or something in another a box notated amount that needs to be changed. So once it's been submitted to the Social Security Administration and there's a change that's needed, it then becomes a W-2C, and then we would select this box. A substitute W-2 is meaning maybe a business is closed down and that individual, the taxpayer, is unable to reach out to that company to get a copy of that W-2. They're unable to receive their wage and income transcript or information from the IRS, so they've made multiple attempts to try to get a copy of their W-2. So mid to late February, that's when we're able to do this substitute W-2 form for them. That means they don't have the actual W-2 and we're having to prepare a tax return based on their last check stub. Now, the bad thing about this is for those individuals, that is a paper return that then has to be mailed into the IRS. So we cannot file that electronically. So on this W-2, we're going to enter in the employer EIN information in. And again, where you see the X's, we're going to create our own numbers. And as you're going through the tax season, you may sometimes see an address already pre-populate to help us. So I'm actually going to change this address because that's not what we don't see that address on the W-2 provided. So I'm duplicating what I see. And I will just kind of back up right here. So because Cynthia has a social, we don't have to worry about entering in her social on this screen. But if it was a person that had an ITIN number, we start off the return with their ITIN, but there you may see a different number indicated on their W-2. And so you're going to see then a placeholder, a space on the input screen, which is here, where you're able to put in that number. So you're going to duplicate the number on the W-2 that you see into TaxSlayer. So we're going to enter in those wages, $35,000. And again, you're going to see box 1, you're going to see that pull into box 3 and box 5. Now, if those amounts are different, I would need to go back and change them. And they're the same, so I'm good. But you still want to double check what you have input in the system. And it's already going to calculate. I do have to input the federal taxes withheld. And then based upon what's in box 3 and 5, it will calculate the Social Security tax withheld and the Medicare tax. So those percentages do not change. They are government regulated on there. So that's why those amounts are able to pull in. So then I'm going to select everything that I see on here. I see that there is a retirement plan. And even if I wanted to, I could go and put the state information into the system. I could go ahead and add that on there. In our situation from being from Texas, we don't have state taxes. So if you're getting a individual from the state of Texas, we would not see, there would be, even if there is information on here, it's not populating a state return. So we've entered in the W-2 information. And now we want to go and look at other sources of income. So because I am actually keeping in order the tax return. Okay. So keeping in line with everything else and going down, I am going to enter in the interest and dividends. Enter in this income. So I'm going to go and click begin. And it's going based off of, let's see, this screen right here. So the summary sheet. So So we're going to go and we're going to start off with the interest income. So I'm going to click that box and hit continue. And we're going to go with the payer's name. And so that is that ABC Investments. We can go ahead and enter in the payer. So that's AB Investments, their information. And all the boxes that we see. So on the 1099 interest, we just see there's an amount in box 1. So we're going to enter in that $250 in the system. So we're going to go then and hit continue. So we've entered in the interest component. Now we need to enter in the dividend. So since we've entered in 1, all we have to do now is click this little plus sign or the little highlighted add interest and dividends. And then we can just now go and click on dividend income and hit continue. So we're doing the same thing, same investment company. And the boxes that we see completed. So we have 1A ordinary dividends. We have then 1B qualified dividends. And then we have 2A, the capital gain. So we've entered in, we've taken care of our dividends. So now we need to go and see what other income that we have to enter in. And again, just going down the income screen. So I'm going to hit continue to go back to our main page that lists all of our income. So it does list 1099R. She did receive 1099R. That was stated that she used for school. This is it's an IRA. So an IRA will go here, 1099R. We're looking for that form number. Going to hit begin. So the bank pulls in the address, the zip, I'm going to leave that, her information. And so now we want to pull in the gross distribution. You're going to see the amount in box 1. It will pull into in box 2A. If it is different in box 2A, you need to go and you will have to make that adjustment. So we're still mimicking everything that is listed on the form. She had $200 in taxes withheld. Distribution code of 1, and it was an IRA. Now I will let you know if box 1 and 2A are different, which they can be. When I hit continue, when you hit continue and you're doing a return, you may have a warning message that pops up. All it's telling you to do is just, hey, we noticed that those amounts are different and you can go back and confirm. If they're supposed to be different, you can leave it as that. So I'm going to hit continue. I have entered in that information. This is a retirement plan, and that is the box that you'll be checking in most instances, pretty much all instances, retirement plan. So we need to see what other sources of income. It was not related to a qualified disaster. She was using it for school, so we're going to select no. So we've entered in the 1099-R. So let's see, what other sources of income do we need to enter in for her? So going down, now we have, there is no unemployment, 1099 miscellaneous, but she does have a 1099 NEC because she has a business. She started a business. So now we need to go and enter in this 1099 NEC, and then we're going to create that Schedule C for her. So on the 1099 NEC, it was housekeepers helpers, entering in that EIN number. And it pulled in the information for us. So I don't have to worry about entering it in. I'm going to go and update that address though. And I need to put in the amount that she received, which was the $4,000. That's reflected. So I've entered that in, and I'm going to hit OK. So I got the 1099 NEC, but now I need to create the Schedule C. So I'm going to click Schedule C. I'm going to hit Continue. And it does not mention she doesn't have a business name other than it's going under her name. She did not go and get a employer EIN number on here. Everything is still under her social. And then for her address, we can go and we can put her address listed. We can put her address here, we like. And it did provide us with her business code on the interview notes. So I'm going to go ahead and type that in. If you are not able to find a person that comes in as self-employed and you cannot find a category, you can click on here, list of business codes, and you're going to try to find something that is closely related to their job function. If you cannot find anything, then you're always able to go to the very last code and put in these nines, these 6 nines. But we're going to finish entering in her code. And it pulls up janitorial services. So we're going to then hit Continue. And you could be doing more than one Schedule C for a taxpayer. They could have different things. They could be have their day job as a painter, and then maybe on the side they do like part-time, maybe landscaping. So you could have more than one Schedule C for an individual. So we did the basic information. I'm going to go back and click on that just to confirm we have that in. Questions about the business. So cash method accounting, that is within our scope. We do not do any inventory, cost of goods, so we're going to select not applicable. Check here if this is the first Schedule C filed by you for this business. She actually started the business back in 2020. So we're not going to, we don't have to select that. That's if an individual started in 2021. Most self-employed individuals, pretty much they are the only individual working on there, so we don't have to worry, and they materially participate because they're doing pretty much all the leg work. So we're going to go next to the screen. There aren't any payments. This would be out of scope for us making payments in 2021 to file a Form 1099. So we're going to go and hit continue. So we did the questions about the business. So we go to the income section because we did record the amount that she received on the 1099 NEC, but in those interview notes, Cynthia was telling us, oh, I received $400 that was not recorded on the form, so we need to add that in. I typically add it in here. Some other people add it under other income. We just need to make sure we record it under the Schedule C, either gross receipts or other income. And so I'm going to hit continue. I've taken care of the additional income that she stated that she received. Cost of goods is out of scope for us, but she has some general expenses, some expenses on here. So she mentioned that, let me go back to these interviews. She mentioned that she has some cleaning supplies, some business cards, a mop broom, vacuum cleaner, work gloves, lunches, and work clothes that's suitable for everyday use. So I see the first thing is advertising. I believe that fits her business card. So I'm going to go and put the $225 there. And let's see what other expenses that she may have. So I keep going down and I'm going to get to supplies. So for supplies, I could go and put just on here her cleaning supplies, or I could also possibly put the mop, the broom, and the vacuum cleaner. That's up to your discretion. You can put it under general expenses, or you can list it under other expenses and break those out. So I am going to do the supplies, which is the $350 plus the mop, broom, and vacuum cleaner for $450. So that gives me $800, and I'm going to list that over here on supplies. So that takes care of those. Actually, I need to also input the work gloves. So the work gloves are $150. So that then makes that $950. So I've taken care of the cleaning supplies, the business cards, the mop, broom, and vacuum cleaner, as well as the work gloves. Now, Cynthia has told me or listed that she's paid $125 for lunches. Cynthia did not mention that those were business lunches. Those were only just regular lunches. But we all have to eat. So I tell Cynthia, unfortunately, I cannot put those on your tax return. Those are not allowed. As well as she mentioned that she paid $175 for work clothes, but they're suitable for everyday use. So if Cynthia's cleaning in jeans or some sweats or something, that's something that she can wear every day. So unfortunately, Cynthia, I cannot put those on your tax return as well. So I'm looking, and it seems like the only thing left that we have is her mileage. So we're finishing up with this section. And we're going to go to our general and car expenses. So because with the VITA program, we do the standard mileage, and all we have to do is put in the business miles, and TaxSlayer will calculate that for us. And so it states on here that Cynthia, that she has a pickup truck. So I'm just going to type in truck in here. And let's see, when did she place it in service? She placed it in service on March the 15th of 2020. And it says pretty much the mileage from her home to her first client and mileage from her last client to her home was 750 miles. In addition, on the day she worked for multiple clients, she kept track of the mileage from the first client's home to the second. And that was also deductible. She logged 450 miles. Her total mileage was 11,200. Of that, 10,000 were personal miles. So she has, we're going to do so we got total miles of 11,200 minus, we got her, so we can go ahead and do her 10,000, which leaves us with 1,200. So those were these are her personal miles. And then it says she logged 450. So that is her business miles. And the 750, those are her commuting miles. Now we have to just go and answer these questions. Let's see. She kept track of the mileage from the client's first home. Okay, the third bullet point, she placed her only vehicle. So she does not have another vehicle for personal use, so we don't check this one. This vehicle was available for personal use because we do have those personal miles. She does have a log. That is evidence of the support for documentation, and check if evidence is written on there. So we are able to recreate individuals their business miles. They need to at least have some type of calendar showing some appointments, because then we're able to tell them that they can go to like maybe Google Maps and then gather the miles, but definitely good record keeping. We talked about that. Good record keeping. They want to make sure that they have record of this information. So we're going to hit continue. And so it looks like we have taken care of all of Cynthia's Schedule C information. So I think there is one more income item that we need to take care of. And that is the sale of those stock. Okay, and so we're going to find that on the capital gains and losses. And we're going to click on capital gain and loss items, click on begin. And so I'm actually going to work on the first one. So again, she has short term and long term. So again, I'm just going to go and do Iowa, and I'm going to do short term. And it did provide me with the date acquired, because she does just have one. If it was a combination of different types of stock and they had different dates acquired on here, but we don't want to have to input all of those one by one. So we would then just take that total for the short-term transactions, which the basis is reported, and we would be clicking this button. But I'm actually going to enter in the date acquired, because we have that, and it's just one. Date sold. And I'm going to input in the sales price. So that is the proceeds. I need to make sure the cost basis type is selected. So those short-term transactions, the basis was reported to the IRS. And I need to put in the cost. The cost basis is $2,000. Now it shows on there that the gain is $650, but TaxSlayer, it will calculate that for me. There was no description for a wash, so all of these adjustments, I will leave those alone, and I can hit continue or save and enter another one, because I do have another one to enter in. So I'm going to do save and enter another. And so this one, I get to go and do the Iowa, the long-term transaction. Same thing, I have the date acquired. If I did not, or there were multiple transactions, then I could select and do various long-term. So I have the 10, 12, 2008, and then date sold. And again, the sales price, which is the proceeds. That basis, so for the long term, it was not reported to the IRS. And then the cost, which is $2,100. Again, I'm not doing any adjustments, not reporting that gain. So I'm going to hit continue. So at this point, I believe we have entered in all the income that she received. The only thing that I do want to go back to on those interview notes, because we will typically see this at the beginning of the slide, is just putting in that EIP payment. We have not talked about that yet, but just want to go and see if I can put that, because that's typically at the beginning of the when you're getting ready, after you enter in basic information. So we've entered in all of her income. So I can go to basic information, and they don't have it right now, but again, because this is our practice lab, so we will see all of that information in TaxSlayer, the actual TaxSlayer. So this is the practice lab that you're going to be able to go through. So I entered in all the income information for Cynthia's return. On next class, we're going to then dive into adjustments, deductions, credits as we continue working through the tax return. And as of right now, you're going to see that she has a balance due of $1,537, but we cannot mention anything to Cynthia about that as of yet, because we have not completed the return. We don't let them know what their refund or balance is until the return is completed in full on there. And then even you as a preparer, you can tell them, well, it looks like this is what your refund or balance due will be, but you do have to have a quality review. Someone will have to review your return before we review it with the tax client and get them to sign off on it. So going through, we've entered in all of her income information, and that is it for today.